listening to Somewhat Frank with me, Frank Gruber. After working in the corporate world for a decade, I decided to blaze my own path by co-founding Tech Cocktail, which helped catalyze local startup communities and eventually turned into TechCo Media, a site which grew to millions of readers and was eventually acquired. Over the past decade, I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs and thought leaders from some of the fastest growing and most successful companies in history. And along the way, I've learned amazing lessons from my experiences. So we're going to talk about startups, tech, innovation, and their intersection with personal life, and anything else on Frank Gruber's mind. So let's get started being Somewhat Frank. Somewhat Frank is produced with the help of Established, my new company. Today I'll be talking to serial entrepreneur and author Miki Agrawal.
First off, thank you for coming out and sharing your insights. And it wouldn't be possible without the support of Denver Startup Week and Chase for Business, so I want to give a round of applause for them as well. Now that we got the elephant out of the room, I wanted to talk about a friendship, a mutual friendship, that I realized as I was basically reading the book. I'd seen your book around just because it's a popular book, and it caught my attention because it's had two cool words in it, cool and shit, and that caught my attention. But I hadn't read it, so I had it on my phone, and I read it, and I realized that the foreword of your book was written by a mutual friend, Tony Shea, who actually also wrote the foreword of my book, called Startup Mixology. So we actually have a lot in common. And so I loved your book. I read it, read it cover to cover, well, iPhone to iPhone, very, very quickly. It was a great read. It gave a lot of really good insights, as well as not just insights, but like actual things to do, which is important. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of great books. They're kind of high level. Yours is like, no, this is what you send to people. This is how you get people to do stuff, which is, I think, really helpful for people that have an idea and don't know how to bring it to action. So I wanted to start out with talking a little bit more about, well, first off, what brought you into this entrepreneurial world? I know what the answer is, but I want you to share it with the audience because you didn't talk about it as much in your talk. So what got you sparked to kind of do the entrepreneur thing? And then we'll dive in a little bit more about the 3 Ps.
Yeah, I think two things. One is that I'm unemployable. I have a very strict Indian father who, I'm like, you're not my dad everywhere I went. Don't tell me what to do. So I was a very bad employee, and that's one of the things. And and the other thing is that just dissatisfaction with what's out there, and thinking that, hey, I'm somebody, anyone can, somebody needs to solve this. I'm somebody, I could probably solve that. Right. And it's, you also have to have a very healthy level of naivete. Right. Because you don't know what you're getting involved in, and how hard it is actually. But I think that those are the things, like really wanting to make improvements in the things that that sucked in my world and the world of others. Right. And also, I'm genuinely unemployable.
Okay, that's an honest answer. But you also had, before you started doing that, you had kind of another path. Like you had made a list of the things you wanted to do, and it was really simple. And I think this is really helpful for anybody that has dreams of doing something besides sitting and watching us talk about doing things. So basically, it was 3 things. Like you wanted to be a professional soccer player, you wanted to make a movie, and you wanted to be an entrepreneur, start a business. You've done, how many of those have you done? All of them. I think that's really helpful. Like, people don't make lists that are really simple. They're like, no, we're going to boil the ocean and this and that, and then they don't do any of it. So, can you talk a little bit about that process? I mean, I know it sounds really simple, but that process of actually coming up with, okay, here's what I want to do, and here's how I'm going to do it, and doing it in a simple way that's not overwhelming.
Yeah. Well, 9/11 happened for me. Like the real turning point in my life was 9/11, where I was supposed to be there on that day. Like 2 World Trade Center was my subway stop every single morning, and it was 700 people in my girlfriend's office died on that day, and 2 people in my office died on that day, and it was the only single day in my life that I slept through my alarm clock. The only day. Not one day since, and not one day before have I ever slept through my alarm clock, and it was a divine moment for me, and it was just like, it was a wake-up call where I was like, oh wow, I need to pursue my passions, because the mystery of life is that you never know when it's going to end. Right. And it could end right now. This tent could call all our heads,
So
yeah, it's not, hopefully not right now, but it could happen at any point, so it's just like, do I want to do it fully lit up, or do I want to just follow the ready-made path that people have set for me? And I was like, I love soccer. I've been playing soccer since I was 4 years old, and my dream was always to play professionally.
Right, and you did, except for you have a couple of situations.
Yeah, I've had three ACL reconstructions. First game of my professional career, within 8 minutes after assisting a goal, a girl came and tackled me and I tore my ACL. And then it happened again the following year.
But you came back.
I came back out, made the team again, made the starting lineup again, and then in the semifinal game, I tore my other ACL.
Wow.
So it was the universe being like,
say, don't do this anymore.
You're done. And I was like, why does it have to be so painful?
Right.
Every time, it's like when the universe is telling me you're done, I feel like it's such a painful thing. Like I just went through that last year. It was so painful. It's like, okay, you're done with this.
Wow. So you 9/11 happened, you started realizing it's time to do it. What made you think, okay, I'm just going to write this down and do it? Did you have somebody teach you to do that, or just learn to
write a book?
No, to come up with the idea.
Oh.
Like, how do you, I guess what I'm saying is, like, I talk to people all the time, they're like, I have an idea. They don't ever do anything with it. They just tell me it. That's great. And I think it's important, but you actually went and did it.
I mean, I think having really, really badass immigrant parents, who my father came to this country with $5 in his pocket and put 3 children through Ivy League schools and built the American dream for us.
Right.
And my parents, every time they saw something in community that was problem, they solved it. They were like, oh, there's no gifted children summer camp. There's a summer camp for like sports, and there's a summer camp for like regular whatevers, but there's no gifted children summer camp. So my mom, thick Japanese accent, my dad's thick Indian accent, started the Gifted Children Summer Camp, and it ran for 15 years with 500 children.
Wow.
And so they, when we were elementary school, my dad was like, electronics are the future. This is before computer, cell phones, all the things. And my parents created an electronics kit called Tomorrow's Professionals that taught kids about electronics, had like a breadboard and transistors and resistors, and had a burglar alarm and speakers. And my dad wrote the manual, my mom drew the picture, my mom did the whole thing, put the whole thing together, and they taught kids all through Canada about electronics.
That's cool. That reminds me of, everybody familiar with Ferris Bueller's Day Off? How he like rigged his room. Like, I was just so inspired by that.
Yeah, and
it was so cool.
Yeah, and I think having parents who really were just like, they didn't just complain, they just solved problems, and you just watched them do it. And like I said, my father, they didn't have any resources, very much.
Right.
And my parents, when we were 11, took out a $30,000 loan and took us to India and Japan for 3 months.
Wow.
And then spent the next 10 years paying it off, because they believed that experience was valuable for us. And it was what showed me poverty. It showed me, I was so living such an insular Canadian life, and to see what the world was like really gave so much perspective. So they really, I owe everything.
The foundation. Okay, that makes sense. And part of that is driven by happiness. You want to be happy in what you're doing. Some people are still out there trying to figure out how to become happy. We have a friend that delivers happiness. Literally wrote a book about it. Can you share a little bit about like how that can stop people like from doing what they love? Like, what advice do you give people that are like, hey, I want to be happy, but I don't know how. How can you overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really like looking within yourself and just saying like, what is it when do I light up?
Right.
What do in what situations am I in where I come to life? Where people are attracted to me in those moments. I remember when I was in college, and when I used to like different guys, I would have them come watch me play soccer. And I'm like, this is where they put me in a place where I shined. And they were like, oh, I'm so much more attracted to you now. Yeah. And I was like, okay, get in line. Yeah, because that's where, so it's like you want to be in a place, you want to find places in your life where you shine, and then people around you are just attracted to you in those moments, which is why like being in your zone of genius and finding out what that is so important. And I think that requires energy. If you don't know what that is, it's going to intern places, going to meeting, shadowing people, going and trying all kinds of things and being like, wow, I just felt that in my body. I want to do more of that. And
is that what leads you then becoming a disruptive force? I mean, your new book is about disrupt her. So what is the tip for being a disruptive force out there? Is that similar?
Yeah, I think my first disruption is, so it basically starts with a common belief where society tells you, one thing, and then the disruption is disrupting that common belief. So 13 common beliefs and 13 disruptions.
Got it.
So the first common belief is you have to get serious as you grow up. As we grow up, we're like, we have to get serious, we get a job, we have to get, have a car, we have to have a house, we have to have the kids, we have to, everything's so serious.
Right.
But the disruption is you can still live in a childlike state of curiosity, playfulness, and awe, and be a responsible adult at the same time. You can be both.
Right.
You don't have. It's not either or. You know, like I was telling my kid's first word is wow.
Wow.
Hero's first word was wow, and I'm just like my word. I say wow all the time. Wow, and you know, and I think like to live in that like perpetual wow state and not be jaded by like society telling you how to, you know, how small you have to be. And get in line. And, you know, we were put in school. School is churning you out into becoming factory workers. That's what the normal school and common school was.
Which was always my dream, but it just didn't work out. So.
Yeah, and so to be factory workers, and it's just like we are not just cogs in the machine.
Right.
We're all individuals that have dreams, and so you know, it really is about taking away the whole like seriousness of life and just trying to get back and putting ourselves in places where we are in wow state.
Yep.
When we are in like, and we hang out with people who are also in wow state. You know, when you're hanging out with really serious people, after a while it wears on you. When you're hanging out with people who can do a lot, who can be serious and get excited, but then also go and play and have fun and go and just be like, you know, merry, like that's so important too. And
so you talk a lot about people, surrounding yourself with people to be in that wow state. That's important.
Yeah, I feel really, really lucky where I've spent the last 10 years of my life cultivating friendships one person at a time. I'm like, wow, you're a light. Wow, you're a light. Wow, you're a light.
Right.
Come join our crew. And it's just like, I had my wedding with 250 people last weekend. And it was like lit faces everywhere. Everyone was just so lit. And I'm just like, I cried all weekend because of just how proud I was to have just called in lit people.
That's amazing.
You know, and who are all there for you, for me, through my highs and through my lows. Like when I went through all the shit I went through last year, which was the most painful, hurtful, like it was the hardest thing I've ever went through while I was 5 months pregnant. I had my community come over with boom boxes and flowers and food and circle me and play music and just like to lift my spirits.
Right.
And they're like, don't let any fucking person get you down.
Right.
This is part of being a disruptor. And you know, like pick yourself up and let's go.
All right.
And I could not have done it had I not had my friends and my community every single day coming over and lifting me up. I'm so grateful to this day.
Awesome. And we weren't going to address it, but since you did, just so everyone understands, there were some harassment charges that weren't really charges that were dismissed, and now we're all good, right? Like what that all?
We're all good, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, it was out in the media, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, you know, what I learned is that when you scale in size and you scale as a business, there are sometimes people who want to take and who want to take you down, and that's part of it. And I took it very personally for some time, and then I was like, no, that's not my shit. That's their own shit. Like you know, and I could either let that get to me, or I can get back to my Dantian, my power center, and be like, no, I'm in integrity. I know who I am, and everyone who knows me knows who I am. And if people want to accuse me for shit, and you want to believe that, and if there are people out there who want to judge, go for it. I mean, I don't have time for that.
Right. So you addressed it head on, and you've moved past it. Now you've got a new book. You just were named one of the most creative people in the world, I think, right? 5,000 company.
I mean, it's just a publication.
Okay. I used to run a media company, so anyway.
And by the way, publications, like the same writer can write like the most glowing piece, and then there's this takedown story, and they know who you are. Right. They can't help themselves but pounce on it, and you're just like, what?
I understand the game.
It's such a fickle world. It's wild.
Definitely. Okay, so a couple more. I know we got another session coming here in a second. Before we do that, everyone has a phone. There's our information. If you could just take a photo just as proof to our moms that we were here today. Just take a photo, send it out on the internet. That'd be awesome. And then also one last piece of advice for everyone here that maybe has an idea. And this is an action shot, so you can just take our picture, not the picture of the screen. To be totally clear, we're here. Okay, over here. Okay, good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Action shot. Ready?
I would say
action. It's an action shot.
Okay.
Do something like action.
Action. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Got it.
One last piece of advice I would give to everyone who wants to start a business is to just put one foot in front of the other and don't stop. If you start by saying, okay, I'm going to commit 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day to this dream, you'll see after 365 days how much progress you've made. It doesn't feel like a lot if you're still staying in your job. You still have to do what you have to do to pay your bills. Don't be irresponsible. The way I think about it is, you should have 6 months at least of savings in your bank that pays all your bills, that can still go out to dinner with your friends and not feel like you're like, I can't go, I can't do that because I'm saving. That's not fun anymore. If you have 6 months of at least something where you can still have a good, fun life, and then when you get down to 2 months and you've made progress in your business, but you haven't raised the money yet, or you haven't been able to earn any revenue from it, re-up that amount back to 6 months and then try again. Life is short, but life is long too. So you don't have to keep up with the Joneses and do it fast. You can take your time and not do it irresponsibly. Because I have friends who've gotten destitute because they just their egos were too big, where they didn't want to let go just for a little bit and just recalibrate their lives, get their shit in order, and then go back out and try again. Like, it's okay. Like, it's part of it. The journey is like this. It's for all of us. It's not like only you dealing with it. So that's the thing. 1 foot in front of the other every single day. If it's 30 minutes to 1 hour. When you're ready to take the leap, make sure you have 6 months of savings. That's great advice, and I like that life is short but long too. So thank you all very much for listening and sharing this time with us. Thank you so much.
Well, that's a wrap. Thanks so much for listening. This is Somewhat Frank, signing off. Frank Gruber. Oh, and don't forget, subscribe online, iTunes, SoundCloud, Android, wherever you can find it. Somewhat Frank Podcast. We'll be back soon with another episode. Thanks so much.